They don't want you to know about this, the hidden truth of California's homelessness crisis. Hidden away from public attention, California's homelessness crisis is a deepening predicament, concealed by a scarcity of affordable housing and emergency shelter. Unbelievably, a staggering 221,530 individuals find themselves homeless in California, marking it as the state with the largest homeless population in the entire United States, accounting for a mind-boggling 30% of the nation's total, despite California representing just 12% of the entire US population. But hold on, here's the real kicker. Experts have uncovered that these statistics likely present an undercount. You see, the way the state measures homelessness, while significant, tends to fall short. That's because when cities and counties try to tally their homeless populations within a single day, they inadvertently overlook individuals who remain hidden, tucked away in their cars, for instance. Now, here's the kicker. The idea that homeless individuals are flocking to California is nothing more than a myth. Margot Kuschel, a compassionate physician who specializes in treating homeless individuals and serves as the lead investigator of the study conducted by the UC San Francisco Benioff Homelessness and Housing Initiative, refutes this notion emphatically. Homeless people, California's Governor Gavin Newsom, and state health officials are working on several plans to help people with mental health and addiction issues. They want to expand treatment options, which may include building more places for people to stay while they get help. Governor Newsom is also leading a new program called Care Courts. These courts can order people to get treatment if they need it. The government is trying to make it possible for low-income Californians to get help with paying rent as a part of their health care. According to Margot Kuschel, these plans show that there is a growing need for good mental health and addiction treatment. Many people who end up homeless have struggled with mental health and substance use problems. Being homeless can make these problems even worse. In fact, a huge 82% of homeless people have had mental health or substance use problems at some point in their life, and 66% are currently dealing with mental health issues like depression, anxiety, hallucinations, or memory problems. Sage Johnson, for example, was homeless in Los Angeles and lived in shelters for a long time before getting help. Homeless crisis in Los Angeles. Sage Johnson used to work late at night at Walgreens and other jobs that paid very little. Even though she worked harder, she couldn't find a place to live that she could afford. This made her feel more and more sad and worried while she was homeless. She said, "When you're out there without medicine or therapy, things get even worse." The report also found some other important things. The average time people were homeless was about 22 months. Before they became homeless, people were earning around $960 a month. Most of the homeless people in California became homeless in the same county they lived in. Nearly 40% of them were homeless for the first time. About 1 out of every 5 people became homeless after being in a place like jail. Most people, around 78%, spent most of their time homeless in places without shelter. Some were in their vehicles, 21%, but most were without a vehicle, 57%. Before they became homeless, 32% of them had a place they were renting or paying a mortgage for. About 50% did not. The homeless population is getting older, with 47% of all adults being 50 or older. Black and Native Americans are more likely to be homeless. For example, even though only 6% of California's population is black, 26% of the homeless people in the survey were black. Homelessness on the streets of the USA. This study reveals a big problem in California. Even though the government spent a lot of money to try to help with homelessness, the situation didn't get better. Since 2019, the state government, led by Governor Newsom, gave more than $20 billion to local governments to provide services and build houses to fight homelessness. But despite spending a hopping $17.5 billion in just 4 years, from 2018 to 2022, the number of homeless people in California actually increased. In fact, half of all the people in the United States who don't have a place to live on the streets are in California. Jason Elliott, who advises Governor Newsom on homelessness, admitted that while these efforts did help, the problem is still really bad. He said, "We know people want more to be done, but it's tough. If California had used that $17.5 billion to pay the rent for every homeless person in the state for those 4 years, there would still be almost $4 billion left to provide services like mental health treatment." However, there's a big issue. Even if they wanted to do that, there just aren't enough affordable houses for all the people who need them. Elliott mentioned that California needs 2.5 million more houses to solve the problem. Homeless problem. This is a problem that has been around for many, many years because of the decisions we've made as a community. We can't deny our responsibility. When I say we, I mean both Republicans and Democrats. A total of $20.6 billion has been set aside until 2024 to fight homelessness. Out of that, almost $4 billion was given to local governments to use for programs to help homeless people. Around $3.7 billion was used for a program called Project Homekey, which helps local governments buy properties like motels and commercial buildings to turn them into affordable homes. So far, they've finished 13,500 of these homes. Case and Elliott said, "It's a good start, but it's not enough. It's the first step to make things better." Another $2 billion from this big amount was given as tax credits to developers to build more affordable houses. They've completed 481 new houses so far, and there are more to come. An extra $2 billion was used to kickstart affordable housing projects that didn't have enough money, and almost $2 billion was used to help people with their rent in emergencies. Politicians and many people want to find solutions to this problem. In 2020, Governor Newsom talked about it in his State of the State speech. In a recent survey, 84% of Californians said they think homelessness is a very serious issue. In Los Angeles, the problem was a big part of last year's race for mayor. The winner, Karen Bass, declared a state of emergency on homelessness on her very first day in office. Margot Kuschel's report showed some important facts. First, many people living on the streets do want a home. In the report, it's clear that most of them really want a permanent place to live. Second, it's not true that many of the people living on the streets in California came from somewhere else. Some people think they came to California for the nice weather and because the state is more accepting of homeless people. But that's not true, according to Kuschel. Causes of homelessness. Myth number 3, the belief that mental illness is the main reason people become homeless. It's true that 66% of the people surveyed said they currently have symptoms of mental health issues. This is the number that Elliott, the governor's advisor, mentioned to show that solving homelessness isn't as simple as just giving people money for rent. However, Kuschel questioned whether mental health problems cause people to become homeless or if it happened the other way around. Most of those people had severe depression or severe anxiety, which isn't surprising if you're experiencing homelessness, she said. Even though the government is making efforts to address mental health issues among homeless people, Kuschel believes that this alone can't solve the problem, especially when the average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is $2,200. This brings us back to the fact that California needs 2.5 million more homes to help solve the homelessness issue. Homeless population by states. The state has a plan to build these homes by 2030, but in California, like in other places, decisions about housing and where it can be built are made by local governments. The governor's advisor, Elliott, told CNN that some communities in California refuse to build housing for people with low incomes. They say that these houses will attract criminals like rapists and child molesters. This is the challenge we're dealing with. The state is taking legal action against several wealthier cities that are stopping the construction of affordable housing within their borders. There aren't enough houses that people can afford in California, so the rent is very high. So how much money would people need to make up for the lack of affordable housing and stay in their homes? Kuschel, who surveyed the people, mentioned one surprising thing was how hopeful people were that even a small amount of money could have prevented them from becoming homeless. Top homeless state. For many of them, having an extra $300 or $500 a month would make a big difference. The Newsom administration is spending more money than ever before to fight homelessness. Before 2018, there was no clear plan or funding system for the entire state. But they also say that the state needs assistance. Elliott says the federal government needs to step in and do what it used to do, which is guarantee housing. He explains that for every 4 Americans who need a housing voucher, there's only 1 voucher available.